Hey, good to see you again, Cole. I think you got the same shirt on and I have the same shirt on, but we have different backgrounds and that's all that matters.
Do we really have the same shirt on, John?
Oh, I
Do
don't
we
know. Hang
really?
on, let me check. What shirt
Do
do you
we
have
really?
with? Oh, look at this. Rules are for. Oh, look at that.
Now,
Rules
wait
are
a minute. I
for.
can't read mine. Mine's backwards. Did you make these shirts backwards, John?
Mine's coming. You're looking fine on my end.
I can't read mine and I can read yours.
Yeah, you probably didn't mirror your screen, but it's coming
Uh,
through fine. I see you normal as rules. Yeah, I'm hot in my office with these two shirts.
Rules are for fools. This is a follow-up from one of our other videos where
Yeah,
we,
well, somebody suggested we should make a t-shirt out of rules are for fools. And so done. And you too can have a rules are for fools t-shirt for 29.99,
99.99.
and you get a set of Ginzu knives.
Oh, yeah, this was our follow-up because we have a disdain for rules because they close one's mind.
Yeah.
So we like to say there's only one rule. There are no rules.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when we were in the Faroes, it was interesting because a couple of times people would say, you know, well, Barry,
Barry,
particularly,
let's pick on
what F
Barry.
stop? What F stop? What stop filter did you rule? What's the rule for how many stops I use on this one? And what's the rule? Isn't the rule I have to be at F8 in order to get the best, sharpest picture? That's that rule. We had people asking about, but isn't that breaking the rule of cutting the frame in half? We had somebody ask, but what about the rule of thirds? Remember, somebody asked that, and what was our response every time?
Well, I don't know, but I
We
know
did. We
about.
went
Oh,
rules are for man. That was a setup. Hell,
yeah, rules, boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to get people out of that mentality.
yeah, because it just once you start in that mentality, it's hard to see anything else but the rule.
Yes, yes.
Rather than just like I remember Tony Sweet and I having a conversation many years ago, and I said, I'm going to get one of those bubble levels from my camera because I
Uh,
suck at level. And I said, Tony, how do you do it? And he says, John, I just make it look level.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
instead of trying to follow this rule that I have to have a bubble level so it's perfectly level,
yeah.
and just make it look right, make it feel right.
And
Just
the
like
only
your
thing I
Cubs.
hate worse than rules is that saying that you need to know the rules to break the rules. No,
Yeah.
you don't need to know the rules to break the rules.
Although I got to be honest, there was, something that happens a lot when you're helping to co-lead a workshop with me is you are obviously well known for your long exposure photography, and we've talked about that in keeping things simplified and simple. And so I always tell people in the beginning, hey, look, if you want long exposure help, go to Cole. He's been doing this forever. And what I thought I heard actually, though, so I'm interested to hear what you're going to say on this. I could have sworn it sounded like a rule, and I don't know if you use that
Oh, I think I know what you're
terminology,
talking about. Ugh.
but you use it seems to me when you're talking about length of exposures and so forth that I heard something about that. Now, I'm not as interested in long exposure, so I don't know what was going on all the time. I'm just saying it sure sounded like there was a potential rule there. Am I wrong?
Well, there is a rule.
You have a
I need to
rule?
come up with another word. There is a guideline, a rule that I
Okay.
have that, yeah, we were doing some long exposures and they were trying to do a 60-second exposure and it was a little dark. And
Okay.
so instead of adjusting their f-stop or their ISO, they changed their time from 60 seconds to 67 seconds. And I tried to explain to them that there is a rule of odd numbers that you need to follow in long exposures. And the rule is pretty simple. Even numbers are good, odd numbers are bad.
Really?
Even numbers, 30-second exposure, 60, 120, 240, 480, etc. Uh,
Interesting.
it's got to do with the electronics in our cameras. And this also applies to ISO. You want to shoot at ISO, let's say 50 or 100 or 200. You don't want to be at 125 or
Hmm.
160.
I was gonna say my native ISO is 160, so that's not good.
No, 160 is even. You're okay there, but not 64 like in some Nikons, and not though that's an even number. You're good there, but you don't want to be like 125. Like I've got
Okay.
1/3 stops.
Okay.
So try to keep it at even numbers on your ISO, and then certainly on your f stops. You know, f4, f8,
So
16,
not 11,
not 11, not 6.3, not
not 9.
whatever.
Really?
Yeah, because
And
it's
you've
all
done
based.
some, I mean, you've done this for a long time. So you're saying that your experience has said that odd numbers versus even numbers is
Oh,
there's a
huge
difference.
difference on long exposures. And let me explain it. It's not true for film. I've been shooting
Oh,
film since 68, and you can do it with film, but not with electronics, because electronics, all of our modern digital equipment is based on base 2. And
right.
here's what people are familiar with. Have you ever gone to buy a CF card or an SD card and you
Yep.
buy it? Have you ever bought a 3 gigabyte or a 5 gigabyte or
No.
a 7? No.
No.
You buy a 2, a 4, an 8, a 16, a 32, a 64, a 128, a 256. You don't buy a 257 gigabyte card or a 65
Interesting.
gigabyte card.
Interesting.
Everything
Yeah.
in digital is based on base 2.
Hmm.
So there are harmonics that are set up when you do even numbers, so that you never want to be shooting a long exposure at 65 seconds.
Huh.
You never want to go to f 6.3. You never want to use ISO 125. Those are odd numbers.
So what you're saying is there is finally a rule that we can't call a fool.
Well, if you
Huh.
want to shoot less than good images, go ahead and use odd numbers. But if you want a long exposure,
Interesting.
use even numbers, because it's got to do with the harmonics of our modern electronic
I
equipment.
wonder, I'm going to have to go look through my Lightroom catalog to see, because I certainly have images in there that I like better than others on my long exposures. I find them to be hard at times, to be honest, and I wonder if that's part of the issue. So
Yeah,
I'll
the
take a
rule of
look.
odd numbers. It's just got to do with harmonics and our modern electronics.
How about that?
So
But
anyway,
everything
generally,
else, though, any other rule is for a fool.
it is for a fool.
That's amazing. So that's obviously years of experience in looking at your images.
Well, I've been doing long
out.
exposures for a long time.
How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that's our thoughts. So that's our thoughts. Just we
Rules
wanted
are
to
for
introduce our
fools.
shirts. Rules are for fools, except for what's
The
it
rule
called?
of odd numbers.
The rule of odd numbers. All right.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
Okay. Talk to you in about
Take care.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Bye.